Hello everyone, welcome to the Code, and it is the second part of this Nginx from basic to advanced. And in this part, we are going to learn about creating the Nginx configuration so that you can actually understand that how it is working. So let's see what we are going to cover in this part. First of all, we are going to see the quick recap, like what we understood in the first part, and then if you can already you can skip it if already watched, and then how to use it. We are going to discuss about its syntax and what are the keywords which need to be used while creating the Nginx configuration. And after it, we are going to create your first Nginx configuration for your local application. It means you have developed one application at your local, which is running on localhost at some port, and we are going to create a Nginx configuration file for it. After creating it, we are going to integrate it with your local application. And after integrating it, we are going to see that whether whatever we have learned till now, is it actually working or not. Okay, so it is the roadmap of this part. So let's go directly to the quick recap. So how it works. So it is a cluster. In this cluster, there are multiple servers which are running my application. I created multiple servers because I want my application to scale. So that's why there are multiple servers and all the servers are running the same application. And here is this Nginx block. This Nginx block, it's either running on a server or as a service through Docker container. So it might be possible that you have some server which is dedicatedly running the Nginx, or you can create one container which will create a service for all the application which are running inside your cluster. Okay, so there is the client. What is client? Client is your browser, your Google Chrome, your Safari, and it might be your mobile application. And this mobile application or browser, like user is going to that client, and from the client, it is sending a request in HTTPS. Let's say the user want to access the facebook.com. So the user will send HTTPS colon slash slash facebook.com. When it will go to the Nginx, what Nginx will do, it will do the TLS SSL termination. It means the application which you have created in your local, I'm sure that you didn't care about the TLS thing. So you have just created the application, and there is no decrypt mechanism so that your application can take the incoming request. So this Nginx is going to decrypt this HTTPS to HTTP, and this HTTP request will go to your application server, like to the server where your application is running. Then it will do the load balancing. What I mean by the load balancing, if uh, this Nginx is really smart. This Nginx will check whether which server have the less load, and it will send the traffic to that server so that your application will work in an optimized way and user will get the response in a quickest way possible. Then it will provide you a routing slash rules. So what are the rules? Like it is a configuration file where you can write the syntax, a specific syntax which is related to the Nginx, and it is a line by line instruction where you can provide what you want to do with the Nginx, how you want to route the traffic, and those instruction will be called as rules. So if in a bottom you can see, like if facebook.com is called by someone like some user, then send it to the Facebook UI service. Let's say your application is running on server and you have just exposed one service to access that application in that server, which is internally to your network, and that service is running on 5000 port. So you are saying that, okay, if abc.com users trying to access, which is configured with my Nginx, then this Nginx will send the traffic to the Facebook UI service, which is running on my server. Okay, so it just eliminated the direct connection between the client and your application server. It just come between them, and it will do all the routing work for you. It will take the abc.com and it will check whether this abc.com is mapped to your server or not, and then it will route the traffic so that user will also know, okay, I don't need to know about the server IP for the service which I want to use. I just want to type the domain name, this abc.com, and then I will be able to use this service. The fourth thing is event driven and async. This Nginx is so powerful. It can take thousands of requests at the same time. It is very asynchronous. And this event driven means like it will not wait for the response. What it will do, it will keep the record like from which user this request came and at which server I sent the traffic, and when the server will send the response back to me, where I have to revert back this response, like at which network it should go. So this event driven and async property of this nginx is really good, and that is why this nginx is also called as ingress controller. Ingress controller is something in a software industry which will handle all the incoming traffic, and it provide a face to your incoming traffic. Okay, so it is the thing which we have learned in the first part, and I told you about like lots of scenario. Then we came to this part. Let's see how to use it. Okay, so first of all, in a very simple word, if I want to create the configuration, then how I'm going to create? It is a rule book for incoming traffic. It takes the traffic and send the traffic to your server based on those rules. So all I need to provide is like there will be a single file. In that single file, I have to write the rules, and these rules should be written with some keywords that are specific to the Nginx modules. Okay, it is the first thing. Now, how to write rules? Create a .conf file and provide the directive or instructions line by line. But what is the directive? What are the directives? So there are two type of directives. One is simple directives and second is block directives. What is simple directives? Simple directives are nothing. All you have to do is you have to write the Nginx module name and then parameter name in a file. So you have created the configuration file. All you have to provide line by line the Nginx module name and its value. And you have to remember this semicolon is required when you are providing the simple directives. Now, let's see an example. So if you have created the configuration file, this Nginx configuration file, that what you have to do is just you to provide the work, is like it is the example. This is the worker process, and it is the one. This worker processes are the is the Nginx module name, and this one is the parameter value. Same goes with the server name. Server name is the Nginx module name, and example.com is its value, and followed by the semicolon. The semicolon is required when you are providing the simple directives. Now let's come to the block directives. What are the block directives? So again, it is the Nginx module name where this curly braces are present. And inside this curly braces, we are writing these simple directives. So if I go to the Nginx configuration file, all I have to write understood is like there are Nginx module which is present inside its doc. It is very large, and inside that document, it is clearly mentioned like which are the block directives and which are the simple directives. So for you only, I have just opened the Nginx document. So if I see it is the Nginx original help document, and I will share the link in the description. So if you see this add header inherit, it have only three values: this on, off, and merge. So it is a simple directive. Now let's come to the block one. Okay, so it is the block directive. How I am saying it is the block directive? If you see the HTTP, this HTTP is then there is the curly braces. So if you go to the docs, you will find like there are so many keywords. There are thousands of keywords. If I say these are the directives which I just open, this HTTP keep alive, you can see like there are multiple directives are there, and all you have to do is to understand like what these directives are doing. But it is not required for you to understand all the things to get started. We can learn while doing the things. Okay, so it is the difference between the block directive and simple directive. Simple directive just take only the value, but block directive will have the curly braces, and inside that curly braces you have to provide the value. When we are working with the block directive, it means it is looking at a very larger scale. Like there are multiple things which need to be present inside one curly braces. for that particular thing to happen, which we are trying to do with the Nginx. It means we are optimizing our incoming traffic and outgoing response. Okay, so let me just minimize it and we will come back here. So for the block directives, the example as are like HTTP and server. But the thing is, the keywords which I have showed you here and in the document, how I'm going to use it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you the first Nginx file. Okay, I guess I missed few things. Oh, fine, that is fine. Your first Nginx configuration. So it is your first Nginx configuration, and inside this configuration file, just do not see this arrow and this block and this writing. Just focus on the events and the HTTP block. Now let's start what this Nginx configuration contains and why these keywords are written there. So this event event is something which is uh, telling the Nginx how the incoming traffic should be treated. So currently I have used the empty. If you have provided the empty by default, it will use the default values. The default values, like it will try to use the best values only. And if I'm going to provide something, that what are the things which will go to the events? Events are something which are related to the numbers of requests, which are related to the request synchronization. So not synchronization, the asynchronization of the behavior of incoming request. So this event, what I can use here is like this worker connections. So if I have one worker, so for each worker, like in the previous image, if you remember, like we have multiple server and each server was running my application. So assume that server as a worker, and how many connections can go inside that server, inside one worker, that each server is working as a worker, and for each worker how many requests can go at a one time. So I am providing this worker connections as 1024. So if you have one worker or one server which is hosting your application, it means this Nginx can provide you 1024 connection at a single time. It can serve these many requests at a single simultaneously time. Okay, also if you have multiple, let's say for each worker, if you have two, then you can multiply 1024 by 2 so that your two workers can host these 2040 2000 yeah 2048 connections at a large load. Okay, use epoll if you are using a Linux machine. As for Nginx, then you can use the uh, option epoll. Epoll will use the maximum optimized configuration for your Linux only. It will not work on the Windows. Use epoll is only for the Linux platform. Multi except on. This multi except on is for the high traffic scenario. What it do, if just in a simple scenario, let's say if there is a restaurant and that restaurant at the door, there are 10 customers are waiting. If this multi accept is off, just think like your waiter is a worker worker process, and that 10 customers which are waiting outside your restaurant, that is the traffic, and your restaurant is the worker node which is serving your application. So what this multi accept on will do, if it is on, what that waiter will do, that waiter will go outside the gate, and that waiter will take all the 10 guests uh, with them, like with him, and take those customers to the restaurant and then place them in like fastest way possible. But if it is off, what this waiter will do, this waiter will go outside your restaurant, take one customer, come back, and then serve like whatever the tables are empty. On based on that scenario, that customer will be placed. So there are two things. Let's say if there are multiple workers, uh, if there are multiple waiters, and if only a single waiter is serving every customer, then all the other workers will not get a chance to work. So in a scenario where like bulk requests are coming, then you know that, okay, my workers will go to the full potentials. Then you will provide the multi except on, otherwise you will keep the multi except off. Okay, so it is for the event. Mostly for local setup, we will keep it empty. Okay, now comes to the HTTP. Everything related to the web traffic. Web traffic means, okay, we will go one by one to all the things, then we will understand, okay, it is for the web traffic. Now, till the time we are working with the Nginx processors, like how many process this Nginx can do, or how it should work on the process or on the traffic. But for the HTTP, all it is related to the web traffic. So for the server, like this HTTP block will have the server block, and this server block will have multiple simple directives. So inside this server, there is this listen. Listen is with the AT. So if you, whenever you try to access some website, let's say www.facebook.com, what you do is, wherever this application is hosted on a server, the 80 port is enabled in it. So this 80 port is exposing that application. This 80 port you don't have to write. It is for the HTTP. It is not for the HTTPS. Just remember it. For the HTTPS, it is 443. For the HTTP, it is 80. Okay. So wherever this application is hosted, you don't have to write if you're using with the HTTP. It will automatically go to the port number 80. Okay. So what it is telling that, oh, hey, whatever the traffic is coming, listen at the port 80. Okay, fine. Now, the second thing is, let's understand the flow. So, you have just written the HTTP at the local host. Okay, HTTP colon slash slash localhost. What it will do in a backend, it will send the traffic to localhost colon 80. And now this local host colon 80 is mapped with your local host 8000. And how it is mapped, you will see in few minutes. Okay. Now we have this location. So you have created your application, and definitely you will create multiple routes inside of it. Multiple routes means like you have this colon slash home, you will have this slash users, you will have this slash API. So multiple routes will be present with your application. It might be possible that there are no routes, but most of the cases, routes are present in your application. So all that thing will come inside the location. So all the matches URL will go and will come inside the location only. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about like how it is mapping the local host 80 to local host 8000 with this line. This proxy pass HTTP colon localhost colon 8000. So this proxy pass means this listen 80, this proxy pass. So whatever is running on this local host 8000, that is your proxy for the listen 80. Like local host is same for this listen 80 and local host 8000. But right now I'm creating a proxy. So this 8000 I don't have to write if I'm running the HTTP request. Now coming to the part, this proxy set header x real IP, proxy set header x forwarded. Let's discuss about it. So till now we understood few things. Okay, so we need to define how the Nginx should behave when requests come to it with the event section. Now, now the request is handled at the Nginx part. Now, after handling it, how it should be routed inside your application, that will come under the HTTP part. So this HTTP will contain the server. The server is providing the information about the servers where your application is hosted. So let's say there are some worker node which is hosting your application. So that application should route, like whatever the data is coming should go to which service. Even in the proxy pass, sorry, just let me go back. In the proxy pass, let's say you have created the service in place of using localhost. So you will provide the service name here in place of localhost. So It is that thing. This proxy pass is nothing, just a proxy for like where we should pass if something is coming to the Nginx which is connected to my application. Okay, the application which is connected to my Nginx will take the traffic from the 80th port of Nginx. Okay, so Nginx is taking the request in 80 port, and it is just working like as a cover on the 8000 port. I guess I'm just repeating it. So let's move on. Okay, so these were the parameters which we were seeing earlier. And what are these? Okay, so when a user will go into the browser and they write some query with some domain name. Let's say they are trying to access this API example.com, and there are multiple users. When they are clicking on some user, this particular URL formed at the backend and it is going to the server. So what Nginx receives is these things, the client detail and this thing. The client detail is like from which client, from which system IP this request was generated, from which browser this request was generated. If you can see, it is the HTTPS. So it is the HTTPS request. My Nginx is running on port 443. It means 443 is secure port. So, and my backend is running on localhost 8000. So Nginx have these all details, and when it gets some request like this, it will get all the details of the client as well. So currently, it have all the things. It know that it is a GET request. Whenever user is hitting something, it can identify with the location section which we have provided, from where like that is the thing which is grabbing all the data. Like, okay, it is the GET request, it is the user ID, the host is API example.com, the user agent is Chrome, accept is application JSON. So it is the data which Nginx receive over the internet when someone try to access something on a website. Okay, now, if I see there are multiple things, this dollar host, this dollar remote address, this dollar proxy address X forwarded for. So these are the dollar values. Do I need to fill these values manually? No, you don't need to fill these value manually. Nginx will find out these values from the data which it is getting from the user action. So what data it will get? Okay, so first of all, let's see about the proxies set header. So the proxy set header host, this host will be api-example.com. Okay, so what is the host? api-example.com. It is my domain. Sorry, it is my domain name. It is my DNS name on which my application is running. So it is my host. Okay. Second thing, proxy set header X real IP, remote address, from which address it is getting the request. Okay, so it is the client IP. From this IP, I am getting the request. Okay, that's fine. Proxy set header X forwarded for. So what it will do, it will, so first of all, I've just created two rows. Why I created? So let's say if if you have one container running as a Nginx, then definitely that container will also have its own internal IP. So if you see the below line, this 10.0.0.12 and this 203.113.4.5, this 203.0.113.4.5 is for the client IP. And also this 10.0.0.12, it's the internal IP of that container which is running the Nginx. So when Nginx is sending something, if it is receiving something, it will grab all the details and then it will send it to the servers. Okay. And for the above one, it is running directly and it is just sending the IP of a uh, remote address. Okay. What is the schema? The last one. The schema is nothing, your HTTPS or HTTP, whichever the schema which you are using. Okay, so these are the points, I guess, which we need to cover for a very basic kind of Nginx file. And let's see, it is, let's integrate the Nginx with your local application, and it will be our Nginx configuration, uh, which we are going to run. Okay, so let's integrate our Nginx file with the running server. Okay, so I am at my WSL terminal. It is the Windows system for Linux, and it is running in the Windows. And if I say I have already one running application, it is my fast API application, which is running at the 8000 port. And with the host 0.0.0.0, it is accepting all the traffic which is inside this network. Okay, so currently I have one application which is running on this WSL system. It is with the local host type system, and I have the Nginx utility installed in my Linux system. Currently, I'm not going to do it with the container, but in the later part, we are going to see how we are going to proceed with the late containers too. So if I go to my web application, so it is the IP of this WSL where it is running. It is the internal IP. And to access it, I have to provide the IP. So if I do the reload, yes, okay, it is working with the 8000 port. And what I will do, I will remove the 8000 so that I will be sure that it is not running without any port. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to mimic the behavior, because whenever I'm going to give any DNS name, any domain name, there I will not provide any port. All I will provide is just the domain name. So here it is not working, but if I again put the 8000 here, it will start to work. Okay, so it is working here right now. So let's go back to our terminal, and I already have this Nginx installed, as I told you. So what I will do, I will just go and do the VI to my etc nginx conf.d configuration file, and then app configuration, which I have created. As I'm running in the Nginx utility at the inside the conf.d, it means when I'm going to run this this configuration, it will by default load the main configuration file too, which come by default with the Nginx. And in that Nginx, this event is already provided, and that HTTP block is already present. So that is why I have just removed the event and HTTP from here, and I'm using this all other details same as it is, as we have just discussed till now. So in the later part, when we are going to work in a very advanced thing, then I will definitely go and modify that main file too. But before to that, we are not going to touch that because it might disturb the utility. Okay, so what I will do, I will just save it, and I've just disabled it. So what I will do, I will do the start nginx. Okay, start nginx. Okay, so it will start the nginx. Now all I have to do is just to run the nginx command with the -t. Okay, nginx -t. Okay, let me just write the complete syntax, nginx -t. And if I see nginx, the configuration file, this syntax is okay. It is the main configuration file, which will load the app.config, which we have provided inside the conf.d. So it is the main configuration file which will be running, and it will take all the configuration which is running inside the app.config. Okay, so it is running fine. All I have to do is just to um, reload. Okay, so to reload, what I will do, I will just use the systemctl nginx reload. Reload nginx, sorry, not nginx reload, reload nginx. Okay, so I will just reload it. So it will be in sync. So earlier what it do, it tested the configuration file and all the syntax, that is fine. And then when I did the reload, what it do, it restarted the complete system of nginx. And right now it included the app configuration, which we just provided there. Okay, so now it's time to test whether it is working or not. So let's go back here, and we will do one refresh with it and one without the 8000. Okay. Oh, it is working. Just to be sure for it, what I will do, I will open it into the private window, and it is working. So we eliminated the port here, and we just climbed the first step of our Nginx. So it is the one thing which I wanted to show you, that how you can configure your first Nginx file and how you can use it with your locally developed application, still there is a scope of learning like what how to provide domain, how to provide the trusted certificates of that domain, how to use the domain which we can buy from the other services which are actual domain and will be available to complete internet. So these all things are pending in this series, and we are going to see the multi-engineering system too, if we get the chance. So if you like it, then please let me know in the comments so that I can continue with this series and I can teach you with much more details and whatever I know about the Nginx. And thanks for watching. If you like it, then please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.